the last couple practices been like without Q?
It's real different. You know, Q's such a great leader, such a great passer, and he's been playing for Coach for so long, so he knows exactly what he wants. And he's that coach that's on the floor. So he's been talking to me, Tony, and Ryan just about what Coach wants, and even when Coach doesn't say it, what he knows Coach wants in certain situations. You know, and we've been trying out so many different lineups. He's just talking to all of us about what offenses we're in and calling out the defenses early, that way we get into them and not kind of really not be late per se.
How big a blow do you think this is?
With Q, it's huge. Like I said, you know, he's a great passer, understands the game. You know, the Duke game, he set the tone early. He was aggressive, and we kind of followed off of him and Honest. So, you know, when you have to, guys are just gonna have to step up and fill that void. You know, you have, like I said, you have a great bench with Ryan and VJ and Tony. So it's gonna be tough to replace them, but we definitely have guys who are ready for opportunity.
Are you guys doing a lot of tinkering with lineups? And if so, I mean, how flexible do you kind of have to be with that?
You definitely have to be really flexible with stuff like that. You know, like I said, I've been at the point, Tony's been at the point, Ryan's been at the point. We've been doing so many different things. You know, we had Mott's there at one point. No, I'm just kidding. But we definitely just had a lot of in and out with it. But like I said, Q's been great. He's been on the sideline talking to all of us, just kind of pushing the pace and getting up the court and running our offense.
Without Quentin, is there a feeling that you need to do more, whether that's leadership, whether that's more production, you know, without him now?
You know, I personally feel that if you look at it like that, you know you're going to mess it up in your own head. You kind of just approach the game in the same way and let things fall where they may. You know, VJ's going to have to step up a lot too, Ryan and Tony and those guys. But I think Coach has a lot of faith in those guys to come in and fill that void that we're missing with Quentin. But yeah, for me personally, I don't really look at it as having to do more. I just kind of go in there and play my same game.
How much point guard have you played?
Like in practice, just in general.
Just in general.
Not too much. You know, I played a little bit in the red and white game in a few of the early games, but luckily for in this system, you know, the point guard is not too much from the two spot, not too far from the two spot. You know, that's the great thing with Coach Pitino's guards. They're interchangeable, so it's just a matter of just pushing the pace and get on the fast break.
Are you more comfortable coming off that high pick after you've had some success, especially the Indiana game? I think a couple plays.
I think just coming off any pick and roll, I love just coming off going downhill. You know, when you get to attack the big, you know, a lot of bigs, they don't really keep their hands up when you're ready to shoot a shot, or when they do, you're able to go by them. So being able to pick my spots, and one person that was really good at it was Terry Rozier. So I've watched so much film on him coming off that pick and roll and kind of changing his pace and making his move. And what I did earlier was I used to predetermine what I was going to do coming off the pick and roll. Now I'm just kind of reading the big man and seeing how they play me.
What about Ryan? I mean, you've seen him have success in games. I think in Notre Dame when he came in at a key point. How key is that when he might have to take on a big role?
I think the good thing with Ryan is when pressure's there, that's when he steps up. You know, you saw in Purdue, we needed 2 big threes from him, and he came in and knocked both of them down. Coach even drew up the play just for him. So like I said, that just shows how much confidence we have in him. And even in Notre Dame, he came in and hit those big shots. The big thing with Ryan is playing defense, and when he comes in and not just contributes just on offense, but on defense, he's a heck of a player. And I think when he comes in and plays in these next few games, he's going to just need to focus on defense, because offensively we know the shot's going to go in even before he takes it. Oh yeah, I'm fine, no problem at all.
Coach, do you give a hard time about the ankle?
Yeah, he definitely did. You know, I did miss an assignment when I did turn my ankle, and he thought he kept making the joke that I had Coach Fred carry me off so I wouldn't have to get yelled at and screamed at. But he still gives me grief about it. He gave me grief about it yesterday. But yeah, he's been real funny with that one.
You mentioned a minute ago having in your mind at one point what to do ahead of time as opposed to just sort of doing it instinctively. Is that maybe the biggest adjustment in getting experience here, is learning how to play instinctively and not thinking too much?
Yeah, I think that's a big factor, especially when you give up a below defensive assignment. I think that's the biggest key, because you know, like people are like in this program, we're not really worried about, oh man, I missed a shot. Well, some of us are when our earlier years, but as you start to get older, you start to not so much worry about the jump shots. You worry about the defensive assignments, because you know that next day, you know, you're going to get yelled at and screamed at for that. But just not thinking about, not overthinking the game. And I think that was, for me personally, I feel like that was my problem earlier on, just overthinking things way too much. And now I'm just reading the guy in front of me. I still have times where I still fall back into the predetermining what I want to do, but you just got to just relax and just let the game come to you.
What do you remember from the Clemson experience last year?
That was a rough one for us. We came out strong, I believe, with Nanu, who did really well in the first half, and then we stopped giving Nanu the ball. We went, I believe it was 3 of 23 last year from the 3-point line, and we just didn't share the ball and move the ball as much. We stopped getting the ball inside. They out-toughed us and on their home floor, and I think we came in thinking we were just going to come in and get a win, but last year they were a great team, and even this year they're even better and even tougher. I know a few of the guys personally, and they're tough guys who never quit. So there's no quit in these guys, and I know they're gonna be ready to pressure us, and especially with Q being out, they're gonna be ready to try and take advantage of that and just pressure as much as possible in the defensive end.
You got lose to a team the year before. Is there a little extra juice? Not a revenge thing, just a little extra juice.
As a competitor, I think it definitely is. Even if you don't want to admit it, in the back of your head, there's definitely that in the back of your head. Man, they beat us last year, and it's not that they beat us. They beat us pretty handedly last year. And we didn't really come out with any fight. So I think when you have that in the back of your head as a competitor, that you went there and did lose to them.
You've got 2 quick games. The coaches make a big deal out of this. The quick turnaround. You got a late game Thursday night, and then an afternoon game Saturday on the road. What about the players? What do they think about? What do you guys think about?
Personally,
that kind of thing?
I don't really think we think about the fact that we play on Saturday. I think we're just really focused on Thursday. And then kind of speaking to that, I watched the Cavaliers when they lost to the Warriors, and then analysts said something pretty incredible. They play, I think it's like 5 games in like 6 nights, but 4 of those games are on the West Coast, and they play in Orlando at 12 o'clock, which would be a 9 o'clock game for them. So even when you have the national defending champs playing a game and that type of schedule, I don't really think you complain about our little schedule.
College is a little different.
Yeah.
How much has Ryan developed in the last year to be ready for this moment? You talked about his defense and passing also is pretty good.
With him, it's all about confidence with him, and he's been great when he comes into games. He's come in and made the right plays. It's just little things defensively that he needs to work on. But like I said, I've been talking to him. Quinn has been talking to him, and his development has been tremendous. Having the confidence to take shots, having the confidence to go for steals, kind of get boxing bigger guys out, which his freshman year wasn't really something he would love to do. He loves to absorb contact now and box out and hit guys, and he's not afraid.
Is Tony a guy who can take advantage of some of that?
Yeah, definitely. Tony, like I said, he's a hard worker. He's always in the gym. He's always in there before practice, putting up shots. Excuse me. He's really good defensively as well. I would say he's our best on-ball defender. And going against him every day definitely prepares myself and Ryan if we have to come in there and play against guys who play great defense at the point, and then vice versa. We challenge Tony in the same way. So I definitely think he'll be ready.
You said after the game that Anas's game was something that was coming. With him having that kind of game, and now with needing more scoring without Q, where do you feel like his role may increase there?
I think he's gonna have to keep doing the same thing he's been doing. He's a great post player. He's a great passer, and the fact that he's such a great passer kind of helped Q in a lot of ways. If he didn't have to pass the ball, he could throw right into Anas, who could make a play from there. And I think it'll be the same when in these next few games. When we break the press or whatever, get him the ball and kind of just spread out and have him make a play. And that's great to have a post player with his intelligence, especially at that size.
After the game the other day, you and Grayson Allen exchanged what appeared to be some pretty friendly words afterwards. I was just wondering, not necessarily him specifically, but do you find that generally when the game's over, guys tend to be, you kind of leave it on the floor and then you get along good with opponents?
Yeah, the thing with being a competitor, you want to compete and you want to win, and you give yourself every advantage to win. And especially with him, like I said, I felt the kind of booing and all that every time he touched the ball was a little bit too much. At the end of the day, he's a kid, but like we had a great conversation afterwards, and he told me he loved playing against me, and I told him I love playing against him, just loving that competition and that battle. And I think you see it all the time with the pros and in every sport. Guys can be ready to fight 1 minute, and then once the game is over, They're just friends at the end of the day. So that quote, when you step in between the lines, they're no friends. I think guys really take that seriously. You know, they play their hardest and do as much as they can to try and win the game. But once the game's over and they step out of those lines, it's all friendship from there.
Did you realize you had slapped him on the way up from that?
I told him I didn't even realize it, and he said it was totally fine. He apologized. I apologized to him. I said didn't mean anything personal behind that at all.
One more for Donovan, anybody? Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
Getting in here shortly.